Hello and welcome to today's Town Hall. Our focus today is going to be slightly different. It's on a worrying possible new trend. Are we in India seeing a sudden new spike in the spread of coronavirus? We really hope to God not. If this is the case, we want to know why is it happening. We look into that and what should we be most worried about. And how do we prepare to counter this possible, and it's not a confirmed spike, to control the virus once again? We did well after the lockdown, but are we seeing signs of a bit of a setback? We also look at some success stories and see what everyone can learn from them. We also have a very special segment in today's Town Hall. Many of you have sent in questions about our daily lives. We get a global expert, Dr. Devi Sridhar, Professor and Chair of Global Public Health at Edinburgh University and on many international bodies. She will answer 20 questions of yours, like what we should do, what we should not do as we live through this pandemic. For example, people saying, can we go to the barber? Can we play tennis or cricket? They're not contact sports. Can we go meet friends? Can we do all kinds of, what do we do with our shopping bags when we bring them back? But first, let's have a look. That's Dr. Devi Sridhar, who will be with us later in the show. On our town hall tonight, we are really lucky and fortunate to have Pinarayi Vijayan, the Chief Minister of Kerala, who is, if you ask me, the man of the match of this war against coronavirus. The steps that Kerala has taken has been praised all across the world. We also have Captain Amarinder Singh, the Chief Minister of Punjab. Punjab that has fought back a spike in cases just 3 weeks ago to become currently, believe it or not too many people know, currently the #1 state in India in fighting COVID-19. Now, interestingly, the smaller states of India are doing some of the best work at combating the virus. And you'll understand why when you listen to the ideas and thoughts of 3 chief ministers. We should listen to the smaller states more. For example, Pramod Sawant will join us, the Chief Minister of Goa. The steps taken by Goa made it virus-free for several weeks. But now there's a spike in cases again. How will Goa win again? Jairam Thakur, the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh, a state that is fighting coronavirus and has got some really good innovative ideas in how to tackle it in the future. Nomthong Bang Biren Singh, the Chief Minister of Manipur, one of the most successful states among all the successful states in the Northeast. They're all doing so well in the Northeast, the best part of India. All of it has been almost 100% virus-free. But we are seeing a bit of a spike there as well. Professor Alvin Roth joins us from California. He's a Nobel Prize winner in economics who was himself infected by the coronavirus and has recovered and has written on various aspects of this pandemic. Dr. Eric Topol, Professor of Molecular Science, Molecular Medicine, and a well-known author. He's founder and director of the globally respected Scripps Institute in California. We're also joined by young Shail Trehan. She's a lawyer, a counsel in the Supreme Court of India, a fighter, also in the Delhi High Court, who recently won a very significant case this week, and we can learn a lot from that. It's on behalf of construction workers. Now, first thing, we've mentioned this once before, and I'll mention it again. The most important way to check and analyze the spread of coronavirus is a measure that's used all around the world, but it's not used enough in India. It is R0. It's an R with a 0, and it is a key measurement in the spread of infections. If the R is 3, it will go out of, there'll be a huge pandemic. If the R is 2, it'll be still keep increasing. It'll be very worrying. even when it gets to 1.5, it's still worrying. Do not lift a lockdown when it's 1.5. When it's 1, that means, what is R? It's really how many other people does one infected person infect. And so R1 means one person will infect one more. R3 means one person will infect 3 others. So you can imagine then those 3 will infect 3 others. Now the only time you should feel a little pleased is when R is less than 1. Then you're heading towards really victory. If it's above 1, the virus is going to keep spreading. The higher the R, the more the virus will spread. Only when the R falls below 1 will the virus start dying away. Now all over the world, they focus on R, and it's time we in India do that, because it looks at active cases, it looks at time taken for one person to infect the other. It's not just number of cases. So everything is important, but R is currently perhaps the most all-encompassing. Okay, so we'll be looking at R at various states. Let's start with a state of India that is showing definitely a worrying new trend, Bihar. And see if Bihar is a forerunner or a worrying signs of things to come in the rest of India. Basically in Bihar, the coronavirus situation was coming in under control. You can see that line, red line, going downwards till about the 9th of May. Then suddenly things change, and look at that spike up. From R being less than 1, it's now 1.8 in a matter of 2 weeks. That kind of spike, the infection rate R has really jumped. Now if we move on to why this has happened, I must say Bihar has some really amazing statistics, and they're all accessible, publicly available. Can you imagine now the estimated influx of workers and interstate travelers is 10 lakhs into Bihar, 10 lakhs. And it's increasing at 1 lakh a day. But let's move on. The number they've put into quarantine camps is 7.5 lakhs. And many are escaping, getting out of there, but still 2.5 lakhs missing. But getting 7.5 lakhs into quarantine camps is a pretty good achievement given these huge numbers. And look at that, still coming in every day, 1 lakh people from across different states of the country coming in every day. Now moving on, a high infection rate we find is coming from places, Delhi, main 3, let's look at 3 states which are really sending in people that are infected. From Delhi, 32% of all the incoming travelers into Bihar, 32% are from Delhi, and they have the highest positive testing for COVID-19. 16% of the people coming in from Delhi are test positive. That's very worrying. Moving on to Maharashtra, let's have a look at that. 24% of all the incoming folk into Bihar are from Maharashtra, and they also have a high positive testing rate, not as high as Delhi, but 9% is high. And it's really worrying, these kind of high percentage positive tests. And the third biggest contributor, if we can call it that, to travelers into Bihar is Gujarat. 20% of incoming travelers are from Bihar, and their positive testing rate is 6%. So now what does this mean? Just for these, they take 76%, more than 3/4 of all the migrants or travelers or incoming inflow of people into Bihar. 76% come from just 3 states, and the average positive test percentage is 8 to 9%. That's really, really worrying. It's a tough thing for the authorities and the Chief Minister of Bihar to handle. And they've been put into quarantine camps, which is fine. And if we move on and we look at quarantine centers for migrant workers, are absolutely crucial in preventing the spread of coronavirus. What are these quarantine centers like? Our editorial head in Patna, Manish Kumar, visited one of these quarantine centers today. Let's have a look at a short extract of his much bigger, more detailed report. So these are some of the pictures. The full report is available on our website. It's pretty tough conditions. They're going to be there for 2 weeks. But, you know, many of them are not that unhappy. One person says he's a bit unhappy because he gets rice twice a day. At least he could get roti in the evening or in the lunchtime. But they're getting well fed. But it's not exactly very comfortable, you will admit. And I worry a little bit about social distancing when the cameras are not on. So, is Bihar unique in this sudden new spike in coronavirus cases that we just saw on that graphic? Remember, it was coming down and now spiked up in the last 2 weeks. Or are other states also facing this new crisis? Let's take a look at just some other states. Let's take a look, start with Assam. What is Assam looking like? Look at it. Infection, this is the R factor in Assam. Again, since May the 13th, the last 10 days or so, there's been a spike. It was coming down. We controlled the coronavirus. We got it to under 1. And then, bang, this little spike. No, big spike. It's almost 3 now. Moving on to, let's say, Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh, you can see the spike came a little later, but there's been a spike. Chhattisgarh was extremely successful. For many weeks, it was very low. You can see it was near 1 for most of May. And then on the 17th, that spike, but it seems to be getting it back into action and controlling that. Moving on to Gujarat, let's have a look. Do they have a spike as well? Yes. They were again coming down. Things were looking under control. They were coming to 1, and now on the 13th, for the last 10 days, a spike, hopefully a turnaround, and that's coming a little bit under control. But yesterday and today, a little bit upward trend. You know, all the hard work that was done, slightly set back by this another spike. Move on to Jammu and Kashmir, which had a very bad time early on. It was then doing very well for all of May until the 13th, and then again a fairly sharp spike. Didn't go up to 3, but 1.6, that's not good. Anything over 1.2, all India average is about 1.2. Anything over 1.2, even 1.2 is not happy, because it will mean the virus is going to expand quite substantially. But here, Jammu and Kashmir, another spike. What about, let's say, Karnataka? It was coming under control. It was doing very well, Karnataka. And then on May the 9th, a spike. Look at that. From May the 1st to May the 9th, almost 1 throughout. That after being pretty high in April and March. And the hard work that went into getting it down to 1. Gosh, that's worrying. And there's no downturn here. It's gone on May the 9th up to 1.8, which is very worrying. And no sign of it coming down. So that's another worry in another state. Let's have a look at Rajasthan. This will be our second last. There are many, but we'll just give you some examples. Rajasthan was very volatile at the beginning, but hovering around 1 actually, so it was doing quite well. And then again, May the 11th, a spike, not too bad, not up to 3, not up to 2, but 1.4, not happy. Never be happy with 1.4. In fact, again, you just feel we did so much to bring it down to 1, and now what's happened? We did, and finally, let's have a look at Uttar Pradesh. Again, it was doing well. Uttar Pradesh had managed, and it's a tough state. It's a huge state. There was a spike earlier on. It came down for 2 weeks in May, almost 3 weeks in May. It was around 1. And then on May the 19th, a big spike. It's gone above 1.6, and it's heading higher. Hopefully not. Hopefully they can bring it all back again. So now, this is the impact of the 4-hour lockdown. What do I mean by that? We've always said the lockdown was a great decision. But 4 hours notice without any planning, that's what you're feeling now. And I'm not just blaming the center, I'm blaming states too. First of all, the center should never have given only 4 hours notice without a plan, without telling migrant workers you will be paid, don't travel, you'll be looked after, and if you travel, we'll organize things for you. Nothing, no information, just lockdown in 4 hours. That was bad enough, lockdown without planning, but then the states too could have compensated. What have we all been doing for the last 60 days after the lockdown? People, there should have been thousands of trains and buses organized with social distancing to take people back home, giving them food or assuring them that they can stay where they are and they'll be looked after. They should have been paid, given one in every 3 seats should have been filled. Thousands of trains, but trains weren't moving, buses weren't moving. What were we doing for 60 days? That's what we are seeing now. They were made to pay for their train tickets. They're jumping into the back of trucks, clustered together. If you can't talk about social distancing, in that you will find definitely huge amounts of transmission. So by the time people get to Bihar, it's just not just heartless what we've done. What we've done is, because we haven't planned, we have created this second spike. And I'm not just saying the center. Yes, the 4-hour no warning was terrible without a plan. Do 4 hours, but have an immediate plan. And the states should have come in. Some states did, some states didn't do too much. So it's a lesson that has been sadly learned, and we are feeling the impact of really 60 days of no work, no looking after migrants. The spike is coming. Now, moving on, let's look at something positive. Kerala has been the most successful state in India in combating the coronavirus. We are very happy to be joined by the Chief Minister of Kerala, Pinarayi Vijayan. But before he joins us, let's just see what the situation in Kerala is. Now, look at that. Again, Kerala, amazing, right from April the 6th. It had really, the world looked at that and said, you've got the R not below 1. Fantastic achievement. Really well done. And then May the 12th, this spike. And that spike is mainly because of people coming in from the Gulf and people coming in from other states. And that is a new challenge that Kerala has to face. So joining us is the Kerala Chief Minister, Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Very kind of you. Thank you very much. Kerala has been the most successful example in India of tackling this coronavirus. In fact, your work has been recognized by experts all over the world and by WHO publicly. Many congratulations. Looking back with the experience and knowledge you now have, can you identify, say, the most important steps that were responsible for Kerala's success stories and that others could perhaps learn from all across the world?
At the outset, let me express my gratitude to the kind words of congratulations on behalf of the people of Kerala. We have been able to effectively resist the onslaught of COVID-19, primarily because of 3 factors. The most important one among these 3 is the robust public health care system that has been strengthened by the active intervention of the state in the field of health and public care. The second one is the active and positive cooperation of the people of Kerala, who, with a higher level of awareness and social consciousness, strictly adhered to the guidelines that were issued by the government from time to time. The third one is the state's early preparedness, which include focused healthcare interventions, effective lockdown measures, special economic package announced well in advance, timely assistance for migrant laborers, and the decentralized initiatives taken through the local self-governments.
Yep, sir, but as you know, I have nobody to tell you the war is not over yet. So what are your main worries now looking ahead?
The battle is won. The war too is to be fought and won. We cannot rest on our accomplishments and let our guard down. Till every positive patient is cured and everyone under quarantine completes their observation period without any complication, we cannot assume to be in safe territory. Accordingly to the opinion of certain sections of scientific community, COVID-19 is here to stay. If it is so, we have to learn to live with it. As you know, people cannot be locked up forever. Whatever be the reason, relaxation, at least for the extent of ensuring livelihood, is inevitable. As we are aware, there is an influx of returnee migrants, not only from other states, but from abroad too. Despite the anxiety some sections express, we have to receive them and rehabilitate properly, as they are the ones who toil to keep us going and strengthened the foreign exchange reserve of our nation. Thirdly, we have to tide over the economic crisis that was the direct result of this pandemic. Till now, the total economic loss due to the lockdown in our state is roughly estimated at rupees 80,000 crore. This has happened close on the heels of the two successive floods, which caused a heavy loss of more than rupees 50,000 crore for the state.
Now that you're accepting returning international travelers and interstate movement, people coming into Kerala, almost all the new COVID cases are coming from people outside Kerala, internationally or internally. How are you going to handle this new influx of COVID-19 cases?
We are well equipped to face the situation emerging due to the incoming of returnees. Sufficient institutional quarantine facilities have been prepared. Till date, 2 lakhs bath-attached rooms have been readied. All items needed for the personal use of those under quarantine are being provided. Food is being arranged through community kitchens. For those who want to remain in quarantine at their own expenses, rooms have been prepared at hotels and resorts. If the situation further worsens, quarantine alone will not do. Hospitalization too will be required. In the 1,296 government hospitals in the state, we have 49,702 beds. Hospitals are equipped with 1,369 ICU beds and 1,000 ventilators as well. 81,904 beds are available in 866 private hospitals. There are 6,059 ICU beds and 1,578 ventilators in them. 207 government hospitals have been prepared to treat those with symptoms. If the number of positive cases increases, 27 hospitals can be converted into exclusive COVID-19 care centers. 125 private hospitals have been readied to be utilized. If required, we are prepared to face any eventuality.
Right. What measures are you taking to combat? You spoke about the economic crisis Kerala is facing. How are you going to fight that or counter it?
Over the last 2 months, the economy has almost come to a grinding halt. Yet, at the national level, there has been no concrete measure to create demand by increasing the purchasing power of the people. However, Kerala has announced assistance to MSMEs, IT industries, and taken steps to attract investments apart from providing immediate relief through welfare pensions, food kits, and so on. We have brought out 2 projects the rupees 3,434 crore Vyavasaya Bhadrata for the revival of the industries, and Subiksha Kerala, a comprehensive program aimed at the food security of Kerala to be implemented in a year at a cost of rupees 3,860 crores. In both these projects, the immigrant returnees also can play a vital role. The fact that we have been able to flatten the curve instills fresh confidence in us. It is to be noted that Kerala is one of the states with the lowest infection rate. We also have the lowest death rate and the highest recovery rate. It makes it clear that our strategies work well. It is gratifying that despite recurring challenges, Kerala has been able to rise up to the occasion.
Now, one of the factors is that the coronavirus is a common enemy of everyone in India and in the world, in fact, and everybody needs to cooperate in this fight and forget political differences. We see politics emerging at a time like this. How important is it to forget politics for everybody in this crisis? And how important is the coordination between the center and states, especially say in the financing of this war against coronavirus?
We have been very particular that we should fight this pandemic unitedly, transcending the boundaries of political differences. We strictly adhered to the guidelines issued by the center at various points of time, and the coordinated efforts paid well. We made it doubly sure that politics should not come in the way of this fight against COVID-19. Kerala, even without waiting for what center is likely to release, announced an economic revival package of rupees 20,000 crore to mitigate the sufferings. This includes rupees 500 crore to streamline the healthcare sector during the crisis, rupees 2,000 crore for creating jobs, and another rupees 2,000 crore for creating loans, etc. Now that the union government has come up with a rupees 20 lakh crore package, the government of Kerala takes a positive attitude to it so that the economy of the state gets maximum advantage. Yet we point out that in a federal setup, states have large responsibilities in the social sectors with limited power of revenue generation. Hence, we further request the center to assist states in a big way. We are of the opinion that the package should have focused more on putting money in the hands of the people. We positively look towards it. Around the world, we have seen that public interventions are being increased to fight this pandemic. Yet in India, we see that the government is retreating from several areas, including strategic sectors. It is quite unfortunate. Anyway, our primary objective is to overcome the pandemic.
I think that's the key point, that overcome the pandemic, we forget politics from now. I do remember that when you had that terrible cyclone, you went around with the leader of the opposition to give relief to various areas. And that was much appreciated, of forgetting politics and going together to contribute and help the people. Now, can I just ask you something on a more personal note? How are you managing the stress at this time? You've seen so many crises, but this must be one of the biggest crises you or any leader has actually faced. How many hours of work, how many millions of people are dependent on the decisions you are taking every day, every hour? People say your daily press conferences are the most watched. So how are you handling the personal stress and the tension?
All along, we have been in the midst of people, like fish in the water. We consider ourselves as the servants of the people, not as masters of them. We have no agenda that is aligned to their life. So, everything else, even our personal matters, get relegated to the background, and we rise to the occasion to cater to them at our level best. What else we are supposed to do other than this? People listen to the press conference. Yes, what we speak there has a direct impact on their lives. They realize that nothing else is more important to us other than this. We are always at their disposal.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Vijayan. Thank you, Pinarayi Vijayan, and many congratulations. And I hope you can fight, and we all feel confident you will fight this new spike. Thank you very much. Now, another state that's been very successful, but not very well known in combating coronavirus is Punjab. Although it had a different trajectory from Kerala, in fact. While Kerala had a very many successful weeks in April and the first half of May, and then saw a spike, Punjab had the reverse. Punjab had a rough time in April and early May, big spike in early May. But now it's seeing a remarkable improvement. Just have a look at the pure figures. What is its R looking like? Look at that. A huge spike in the first week of May. It got hold of that. It controlled it. And now, ever since the last 12-15 days, you're really seeing R almost 1 or just below 1. Now that ranks it as the best state in India at the moment. Kerala was earlier the best. It had this spike. Now Punjab is the best state. Joining us actually is the Chief Minister of Punjab, Captain Amarinder Singh. Sir, thank you very much for joining us. You know, we've just been looking at the data in some detail, and we've just shown the summary figures, and you'll be pleased to know that Punjab is the #1 state in tackling coronavirus at the moment. Many congratulations. You went through a tough first week of May where you had a big spike. Why was that, and how did you tackle that?
Well, that was mainly from Nanded. We had got about 4,200 people coming from Nanded, from Maharashtra. And out of that, about 905 were positive. And the other one was, we hadn't sent, but people go in this season from around Fazilka, Bathinda, Ferozpur, that side, to Rajasthan to cut the mustard. And they also came back in that time, and some of them had it. And then we've got some came from about 150 of them from Kota, where they go to do various courses in various institutes. And they also came positive. So this lot suddenly spiked us. But it's been brought under control. But I'm worried because it's not over yet. We've had one aircraft is coming from overseas today and landing in Mohali here in Chandigarh. We were told that 20,000 people are going to come from overseas in the next few weeks. And then another 60,000 from the rest of India. So, you know, this is so far, things are under control. We've worked out a very strict protocol, and hopefully we'll keep it under check.
Yeah. But now, you know, with all these people coming in, as you've just mentioned, and many other states currently going through a big spike because of this interstate travel, call them migrants, call them travelers, call them guests who are coming home. When they come into Punjab, are you going to test all of them? And will they be put into quarantine? What's your strategy going to be for all the people coming in from abroad and from other states? What's the strategy?
All are going to be checked. Of course, coming from abroad, they'll be checked at the airports. But once they come to us, they're going to be put into quarantine for 14 days and checked in quarantine. Those who are haven't got it and don't show any symptoms will be put under home quarantine, and they will be under medical supervision there. And those who got it, of course, have to go through the process. That's one. And those who are coming from other states, all of them at bus stations or railway stations and all are being checked, and nobody is being allowed in. They have to. The same process is being followed there, and so far everything is going according to plan. So let's hope it carries on that way.
That's really great that you are checking people even who are asymptomatic, who have no symptoms, testing everybody. Now, as you say, the story is not over. There could be further spikes. What about your backup of hospitals, ventilators, PPE for the medical workers? Are they under control?
Oh, no, no, no. We have got everything. There's no shortage of anything with us. In fact, I can give you the details if you want. We have got about 4 times what is necessary. For instance, uh, we've got nearly, it's about 450 of the ventilators. We've got everything in stock, whether they are the masks, the 95 masks. We've got about 4 lakh in stock. If they are the other ones, we have got about 60 lakhs in stock. So everything we built up, and we ordered another 20 machines of these ventilators. 9 have arrived, and the rest are in the process of arriving. And beds are ready. We've got about 12,000 beds ready. We've got 52 government hospitals which are prepared for this, and we've got about 900 private hospitals which also have on our list in case of an emergency. So, but everything is under control. We are looking at though things are now at the moment looking good for us, as you mentioned yourself, we can't take a risk the way the things are going globally. I fear that we may have a second wave, we may have a third wave, then of course these 80 plus 20,000 coming in. And this is only people who have, these 80, 60,000, by the way, are those who come on our website and ask to come. There are many people in India who don't know why we have a website or what it is. They also want to come. So I don't know how many eventually will finally land up in Punjab and how much we are going to go up. So we are prepared for all the worst.
Well, one of the reasons why everybody realizes you're the #1 state right now and your R0 or your R effective is the lowest in India, a little lower than 1, is because of your recovery rate. Just look at the recovery rate in Punjab, and Punjab and Kerala are very common in how well you're treating people and how they're recovering. Just look at the recovery rate, all according to government figures. Here are the top 10 states with their recovery rates of how people are recovering after they've been infected by coronavirus. Punjab is 89.8 actually, so 90%. We're rounding up all these figures. Kerala 74%, which is really very high by any standards. Moving on, Haryana 66, and if we quickly go through, Andhra 65. These are good figures. Telangana 61, UP 58, Rajasthan number 7 at 56, Delhi number 8 at 48, Madhya Pradesh number 9 at 48, and Jammu and Kashmir at 47. And the all India percentage recovery rate is 41%, which is can be better. So many other states are well below that 41. So sir, just coming back to you, with all this migration causing a new spike, what is the current situation on the labor front and migration in Punjab, from Punjab?
Farm labor, we have about 13.5 lakh laborers overall. Many industry, many in farm, and many go both ways. And out of that, so far, we have got about roughly 3,25,000 who have gone back to their homes. And but what the interesting part is this, that these have all come through our website again. And we inform them through an SMS message to say that you are coming on so-and-so train, so reach your station. And there are about 1,600 which go per train, and we've sent about 273 trains as per yesterday. But interestingly, only about 50% are arriving. They are opting out because the industry in Ludhiana is opened, and Pagwada and all our big industries open. In fact, in Ludhiana, in Punjab, we have about 256,000 industries, and out of that, about 150,000 is opened. So I think many of them are opting to stay and work in that industry, and what the initial fear is over.
Right. Actually, that's wonderful to hear. In fact, I just have to say something from my heart, and that's about Sikhs, Gurdwaras all over the country, all over the world. We have all been really terribly moved by all the work that Sikhs have been doing across the world and across India. God bless your community for that, and a lot of other people in your state. How do you explain this Sikh people coming forward so much in a crisis like this?
Well, if it's about the food and all and the way that we've looked after the people here, let me give you some figures which I think will be interesting. Our population is 3 crore, and NGOs have distributed over 3 crore packets. of cooked food, and the state government has done 23 lakhs. Then dry ration packets, the state government has done 1 crore packets, and the NGOs have done 18 lakhs. And we have also now, because there are still some migrant laborers left, because we are sending about 20 trains on an average a day, but some people do remain. There was a little shortage, so yesterday we ordered another 14 lakh food packets to be given to those people who are still facing this hardship. And each packet contains about 10 kilos of atta, 1 kilos of gram, and 1 kilo of sugar. So that is the sort of way we are trying to look after them. And I think we've not had any problem. People are cooperating fully. And of course, the Gurdwara Sahibs, the NGOs, it's been really a major effort. Forget about the rest, even the Punjab police, which is doing law and order duties all over. I've got 44,000 policemen on the streets to ensure the lockdown and curfew which existed. And they have distributed nearly 1 lakh food packets to themselves by their own collections and all what they've done. So it's been everyone putting their best foot forward, and that has done a great deal. When I asked for funds, for instance, for the Chief Ministers Relief Fund, we've got people, everyone from every walk of life are contributing, from the top to the bottom. And it's really been a combined effort.
Well, you're certainly right that the police have been fantastic, and I must add, it's not just the Punjab police, the police in Delhi, the police all over this country have been really, really coming forward and with heart, and have helped a lot of people. So I just wanted to ask you, all your success that you had in controlling coronavirus, does it have something to do with your army background?
No, it's not due to my army background. Helps all along, because it's a different type of a service, and it teaches you to be very straight and active. But it's been an effort made by everybody, every MLA, every minister, every member of our bureaucracy, our police force, the civil population, NGOs. You name it, and every Punjabi has had some role to play in doing this and easing things from other people. So it has been that way. I can take the claim being the chief minister, but it's not my claim. It's a combined effort of the entire state.
Thank you very much. Many congratulations, and be careful and stay safe, sir. Now, just a quick reminder. Thank you very much. Thank you. Just a quick reminder. Which we mentioned at the beginning, many of you have sent in very detailed questions. What should I do? Should I take my shoes off when I enter the house? What do I do when I go to a shop? Do I wash all the packets? All these questions, 20 questions, will be answered by Dr. Devi Sridhar, Professor and Chair of Global Public Health at the University of Edinburgh. 20 questions of yours, and maybe a little more come in during the show. She'll be answering them because she has great experience and done a lot of research in this area. But moving on to Dr. Eric Topol, who's written a lot. He's from the Scripps Institute, as we mentioned at the start. Sir, Dr. Topol, thank you very, very much for joining us in the midst of all the pressure that you're under. It's the busiest time of your life, I know. Very quickly, India is going through a really tough lockdown, and we're about to lift that lockdown, as you know. From your experience looking around the world, what are the big worries, or one or two big worries that India should have in lifting a lockdown?
Well, there's many concerns about coming off of a lockdown. They include the fact that the virus hasn't gone anywhere, and so there are many people, most people, are still susceptible to infections. Beyond that, if there's no guidance about the safe reopening, there's the issue of loss of trust, because the rebound with more infections and more people sick and dying gives the public deep concerns about how things are being managed. So although everyone wants to reopen, the whole world wants to reopen, it has to be done with the proper guidance.
That's absolutely true. Trust is crucial and guidance is crucial. Now, do you see not only in India but globally there are going to be more lockdowns, future lockdowns, even after this is lifted? Or is this once a really tough lockdown that could be enough? But we lift the lockdown, then something happens and we have to go back into a lockdown. Is that likely to happen or not?
Well, I think if you look at the lessons from Singapore and also in South Korea, what you're seeing.
Well, thank you very much. We'll try and come back to you on this. But one thing that has been slightly ignored in this entire pandemic in India are the small states. They have been doing remarkably well. Unfortunately, in fact, even in the small states of India, we may see a similar issue of a sudden recent spike leading to demands of repeated lockdowns that Professor Topol spoke about. Hopefully it won't happen, but the amazing achievement, let's look at the case of one small state. If we look at a couple of them, let's look at the success of Goa. Just have a look at the facts, the figures on this. They had really no cases throughout May, very few in April. It was a remarkable success. And then the return of many people from outside Goa and from outside the country led after May 17th, just in the last 5 days, another spike, the same pattern. Now, we're lucky to have joining us the Goa Chief Minister, Pramod Sawant. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Mr. Sawant, for joining us. First of all, many congratulations that you made Goa for a long period a coronavirus-free state for nearly a month, if not a full month. But now suddenly, from about a week ago, 5 days ago, there's been a sudden spike in cases. What's the reason for that?
एक बात सही है कि सभी केसेस इंपोर्टेड केसेस फ्रॉम द अदर स्टेट, इधर फ्रॉम द महाराष्ट्र, अदरवाइज फ्रॉम द कर्नाटका. एक भी केसेस जो स्टेट से नहीं है, जो सभी लोग आते हैं वो इधर फ्रॉम द चेक पोस्ट, इधर फ्रॉम द बॉर्डर, अदरवाइज फ्रॉम द रेलवे स्टेशन. उन्हें हमें क्वारंटाइन सेंटर में रखा. क्वारंटाइन में वी हैव टेस्टेड देम फ्रॉम द कोविड एंड आफ्टर कमिंग द कोविड पॉजिटिव वी हैड सेंट देम टू द कोविड हॉस्पिटल.
So in Goa, you've been successful in bringing coronavirus cases down to, in the past, to zero. How will you make it now go back to zero? What steps are you planning to take?
Yes, जैसे आपने बताया, फिर से हमारी कोशिश है कि जीरो करने के लिए. अभी सभी इसमें 40 में से only the 2 patients are the symptomatics. All are admitted in our COVID hospital. सभी को ट्रीटमेंट दी जा रही है अच्छी तरह से. और हमारी कोशिश, हमारी कोविड हॉस्पिटल के पूरी टीम की कोशिश है कुछ दिनों में फिर से एक बार जीरो हो जाएंगे. लेकिन एक बात मैं बता देता हूं कि जो आज के दिन भी, आज के डेट भी, रेलवे स्टार्ट होने के बाद भी गोवा पहला राज्य रहेगा कि जो रेलवे से आते हैं उन सभी लोगों को नॉट ओनली द स्क्रीनिंग बट वी आर मेकिंग द कोविड टेस्ट कंपल्सरी. Okay, they want to undergo the COVID test only, then only we are allowing them to go to their houses, to go to their destination.
Got it. So basically you're saying that everyone who arrives in Goa, every single person will be tested for the coronavirus, whether they have symptoms or not. Is that correct?
Yeah, whether there is symptom or not, everybody is tested. One who is coming by the road, by waterways, by railways, by airways, from any way, those who are entering into the state, we are testing at present. At least we are continuing this till the lockdown 31st of the May, we are doing this.
1 second. That's excellent. All states should learn from this. Test everyone, whether the person has symptoms or not, because so many infected people are now known to be asymptomatic. There's no signs that they're ill. Even they don't know they're ill. So they don't have symptoms but are infected. So everyone should be tested whether they have symptoms or no symptoms. So have you imposed any conditions on interstate travel or basically on people coming into Goa from other states? Any conditions?
Actually, we are not allowing, we are asking to take the permission from the collector. But only the people are coming from the railway, they are coming directly. But we are asking them to make compulsory for the COVID test, and they want to quarantine for at least for the 3 days, and after coming the report and everything we are doing that way. Otherwise, those who are coming by the road, we are asking them to take the permission from the collector, and then only, and those who are the residents of the Goa, otherwise having the address, otherwise destination, otherwise the home in Goa, for those people only we are allowing to the state.
So, okay, so coming finally to tourism, how are you looking forward to handling the worries about tourism? Because Goa is now an all-year tourist destination. It used to be only in winter that people used to come to Goa, but now it's all year. So how are you handling the perception that there could be coronavirus and don't go on holidays? How are you handling tourism?
आपकी बात सही है. Goa is a tourism for the all 365 days tourism. But at present हम कोविड कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं, इसलिए 31st मई के बाद हम टूरिज्म के बारे में SOP वो स्टैंडर्ड ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीजर डिक्लेयर करेंगे.
Right. So thank you very much and best of luck and congratulations on achievement of 0 cases. Hope you go back to 0 again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now quickly moving on to another small state, Himachal Pradesh. Not too many people have focused on it. Let's have a look at what kind of record this small state has had. Let's look at the data of Himachal Pradesh. You know, again, very good. Round about R of 1, which is just, ideal in a lockdown. But then you see a sudden spike from May the 7th. Again, the similar pattern. But Himachal seems to have controlled that a bit. The spike went up and is down now to about 1.3, 1.4. Still not clearly completely down, but some hope there. Joining us now is Jairam Thakur, the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. You must be really busy right now. But Himachal, you had a very good spell of 0 cases for almost 15 days. And then around the first week of May, there's suddenly a spike. Why is that happening? And is that under control now?
जी, उसमें सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि पहले दौर में हमने काफी सख्ती रखी थी हिमाचल प्रदेश में, और सख्ती की वजह से हमारे बॉर्डर में जो आना जाना था बहुत रिस्ट्रिक्ट किया था हमने उसको. लेकिन उसके बाद फिर जो सब जगह से जो हमारे लोग यहाँ हिमाचल के लोग दूसरी स्टेट में जो फंसे हुए थे, जो स्टैंडर्ड थे, स्टूडेंट्स उसमें थे, माइग्रेंट लेबर थी उसमें, तो उन लोगों को लाना ये बहुत आवश्यक लग रहा था, क्योंकि उनकी बहुत डिस्ट्रेस्ड कॉल्स आ रही थी. हमको लगा कि ऐसी सूरत में कठिनाई के इस दौर में उनको लाना चाहिए, अपने घर लाना चाहिए, घर में रहना चाहिए उनको. तो उनको जब लाया तो वो ऐसे इलाकों से ज्यादा लोग थे जहां कोरोना वायरस के मामले बहुत बढ़ गए थे, और ऐसी सूरत में उसमें कठिनाई ये हुई कि जहां से वो आए तो वहां वो संक्रमित हो चुके थे बड़ी संख्या में, और इसमें दो राय नहीं, जो आपका कहना ठीक है.
So we are all trying to learn from how the smaller states have been so much more successful. Again, I'm going to ask you, this is a tourist season coming up and your economy is so dependent on tourism. What are you going to do now? You had success earlier on keeping coronavirus down to a very low level. How are you going to go back to that? Any plans you have right now which we could all learn from?
निश्चित रूप से इसमें जो टूरिज्म को बहुत बड़ा डैमेज हुआ है, बहुत हमारे हिमाचल प्रदेश एक इंटरनेशनली टूरिस्ट डेस्टिनेशन के नाते जानी जाती है, वहाँ बहुत बड़ा नुकसान हुआ. और खासतौर से अब के इस सीजन में तो हम बहुत बड़ी उम्मीद नहीं कर पा रहे हैं कि हम उसको कवर अप कर पाएंगे. टूरिज्म हिमाचल में हमारे रोजगार के बहुत बड़ा जनरेशन, एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन के एक बहुत बड़ा एक हमारे पास माध्यम था. तो डैमेज तो हुआ है, नुकसान हुआ है, लेकिन आने वाले समय में इस बात को लेकर के फिर भी अभी भी हम आजकल के दिनों में भी, जहां पूरे देश में कोरोना वायरस के बहुत सारे मामले चले हुए हैं। लोग अभी भी कहते हैं कि काश हम हिमाचल में होते, काश हमको हिमाचल आना हो जाता तो हम वहीं रह जाते, क्योंकि वहां कम से कम कोरोना वायरस नहीं है, एक अच्छा माहौल है, अच्छा एक मौसम है। तो ये सारी चीजें तो है। मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ इसके बाद जब सारी सिचुएशन थोड़ी पूरे देश भर में ठीक होगी, उसके बाद अगर टूरिस्ट अगर पूरे देश भर में कोई सबसे पहल करेगा, किसी डेस्टिनेशन को प्रेफर करेगा, तो मुझे लगता है कि हिमाचल उसमें पहली डेस्टिनेशन होगी उनकी।
Sir, yes, that's great. One thing you are very lucky with, sir, you are in the mountains and the air, the atmosphere there is so clean and unpolluted, and you get a lot of ultraviolet rays, which some evidence says, it's not conclusive, that the ultraviolet rays up there can kill the virus. Are you going to put all the interstate travelers nevertheless? Are you putting them into quarantine? What is the plan? You must go back to 0 cases of very much controlled coronavirus in Himachal, right?
जी जी, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, हम उसमें निश्चित रूप से उसमें जाएंगे। हम एक चीज उसमें जरूर करना चाह रहे हैं। एक तो जो अभी एट प्रेजेंट जो सिचुएशन है, जो लोग हिमाचल प्रदेश में आ रहे हैं, दूसरी स्टेट से आ रहे हैं, तो उनको तो हम जो ग्रीन जोन से ऑरेंज जोन से आ रहे हैं उनको होम क्वारंटीन कर रहे हैं, और इसके अलावा जो दूसरे जो रेड जोन से आ रहे हैं तो उनको हम प्रेफरेबली जो है उनको जो है इंस्टीट्यूशनल क्वारंटीन कर रहे हैं। लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी ये कॉन्सेप्ट एक सचमुच में बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है कि हिमाचल एक क्वारंटीन के लिए एक डेस्टिनेशन हो सकती है ऐसे दौर में भी। इस बात पर भी हम सोच रहे हैं कि आने वाले समय में हिमाचल प्रदेश में अगर इसी पूरे देश भर में कोरोना वायरस का थोड़ा इम्पैक्ट कम होता है, अगर उनको सलाह दी जाती है कि आपको क्वारंटीन होना पड़ेगा 15 डेज के लिए, 14 डेज के लिए, तो वो हिमाचल को प्रेफर कर रहे हैं। मुझे बहुत सारे लोगों ने इस प्रकार से भी सलाह दी कि आप इस तरह से कर सकते हैं, ये अच्छी एक सुजेशन हो सकती है, हमारे टूरिज्म भी उसमें बूस्ट करने की एक जो उसमें संभावना बनेगी, गुंजाइश बनेगी, और इसको नया तरीके से जोड़ा जा सकता है।
My gosh, that really is an interesting idea, that Himachal can become a quarantine center for India. It's a very novel idea. That's the kind of thing that brings success. But can I ask you, okay, it becomes a quarantine center, a lot of people are going to come in, or anyway a lot of people are going to come into Himachal. Does Himachal have enough medical backup, like hospitals, ventilators, PPE for medical workers, just in case somebody gets ill while they're in quarantine in Himachal?
जी बिल्कुल, हमारे पास हिमाचल बहुत छोटा ये स्टेट है, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में ही हमारे पास 6 मेडिकल कॉलेज है। एम्स भी हमारा साथ में आ रहा है, लेकिन 6 मेडिकल कॉलेज तो फंक्शन कर रहे हैं एट प्रेजेंट जो है, और अच्छी तरह से हमारे डॉक्टर्स की टीम को हमने ट्रेन किया है। नीचे के लेवल पर हमने ट्रेनिंग वाला कंपोनेंट बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रेंथन किया है, पर्टिकुलरली इस वायरस के आने के बाद तैयारी की दृष्टि से, और उसमें बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं हमारे डॉक्टर्स, कहीं भी किसी प्रकार की कोई दिक्कत नहीं है।
Thank you very much indeed. Finally, we'll want to go into one more small state in the northeast, Manipur, and the northeast has been absolutely brilliant and we must learn from them. Just look at Manipur and you learn what's happening and what we can learn from another small state. If we just look over the data of Manipur, this is what it looks like. Again, completely a tremendous record till May the 17th. Look at that, around R1, I mean actually it's even a little below that, we're being conservative. And then this spike on May the 17th, just 5 days ago. Little bit under control, but look at the spike, it went up to R of 8. That's awful. But don't be too alarmed by that 8, because the number of infected cases in Manipur is very low. So a small spike can be a large number in proportion to the existing stock of small cases. We're now joined by the Manipur Chief Minister. Sir, thank you very much for joining us. First of all, many congratulations on keeping Manipur at 0 cases for so many weeks. Only a very few cases in the last 5 days. In fact, the entire northeast has been the best part of India. Everybody wants to go there because it's completely coronavirus free and the people are also the best in India. But how have you managed to keep the number of cases so low in Manipur? What can we learn?
Pranabji, first of all, namaskar. No, actually, just we are neighboring with Myanmar, which is very near to the Sina, where this particular virus comes. So, at the very beginning, just from just January middle part, we have started screenings in the airport and closing of the borders from the early stage. That is why we are in the safer position as of now, I think. And main reason is, one is that peoples of the state is very cooperative and disciplined. When we appeal to them to follow the national guidelines under the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji for lockdown, people fully cooperated, and we are maintaining social distancing, and we have established around 147 quarantine centers in the entire state, and whoever comes from the outside, if anything we have doubt, we send them to the quarantine center, and they spend the minimum protocol guideline days, right. At least 14 days, and they test it.
Excellent, excellent. Congratulations on that, sir. So, quickly, what are your main worries now?
Pranabji, my worry is that many peoples who are stranded outside the state are coming back now, and many within the northeast state, they have started reaching Imphal, and we are providing quarantine and we are screening them. But now my worry is huge number is going to come back in the state. They are mostly in the red zone area as of now. They're right in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Delhi, UP. So we cannot deny their entry also, they are coming back also. That is the main worry. So we have arranged the quarantine centers around 124 where around 8,000 people's capacity is there. And we are arranging the paramedical staff, doctor, nurses for their stay in the quarantine center. And we also planning to bring back the stranded peoples of the state by train. We are contacting the concerned state through Ministry of Home Affairs. So these are the few concerned part of my government, that when they come inside, when they entered, how we can build, what will be the situation. So these are the few things I am now very tough time, this time really.
Yeah, very, very, very well put and very clear. Last question, sir. This decision to carry on with the lockdown makes a lot of sense, but what about the economy? Is your economy suffering a lot as a result? What is the situation on the economic front?
After analyzing some economic situation, the state government has already allowed some part to continue the work, like MSME, small, medium entrepreneurship works will be started in the rural areas, and agriculture we have already started allowing the agricultural works and the horticulture works, and the small business, and not in the market. We are seriously concentrating to lock down in the market area where the crowded is there, but in many parts mainly in the hills and the rural, we are relaxing to do their, say, MNRGS, Manirga, just we have allowed to continue works, provided that they should maintain the social distancing. Like this, we have started economic activities also.
Thank you very much, sir, and congratulations, and I hope you get back to 0 cases. I'm sure you will from listening to you. Just a quick reminder that, thank you, sir, thank you. In a few minutes from now, we'll be getting answers to a lot of your basic, simple questions. There'll be answers to 20 questions from Dr. Devi Sridhar. These are all very day-to-day questions, what to do on various circumstances. But before that, we're so happy to have Shail Trehan with us. Now, Shail Trehan is a young fighter. I mentioned earlier she's counsel in the Supreme Court and in the High Court of Delhi, and has won a case recently. Thanks very much for joining us, Shail, and congratulations on winning this major case to get compensation for construction. What exactly was the ruling, and what prompted you to take this up?
So, Dr. Roy, the case was basically for workmen that were registered with the construction board but had been left out of the safety net that was given by the government. The government announced 5,000 rupees compensation. They then gave a second tranche and made it 10,000 rupees compensation. And they did that in light of COVID. And what they did was a very sort of narrow policy where they said they would only give compensation to the workmen who had maintained their registration correctly, meaning applied for renewal every year, their paperwork was complete, etc. And about 5 lakh people, construction workers who had in fact registered and were registered, let's say till 2018, today 2020 found themselves outside this scheme. And the scheme only covered initially, I think, about 37,000 people, when actually the number registered with the board is close to 5 lakhs.
I think that's really symbolic. 5 lakhs and 37,000 get the compensation. This is happening all over the country, and that's huge to get that victory. It's a message. I feel honestly that if this hadn't happened, many people who are now getting the compensation because of this ruling would have gone back. They would have left for their state because they got no income here because of procedural errors or bureaucracy or whatever. And this is what's happening. This could have prevented some of the migration if this ruling had been done earlier, if the government had been a little more practical about it.
It's very hard to say which of the 5 lakh workmen today have actually gone on to migrate back to their home states, because the way the construction boards work is that if you've worked you're entitled to registration if you have worked for 90 days in the state that you're registering in. And there's been a big push for several years now to say, you know what, instead of having statewide boards, maybe there should be a national registration, because workmen move from place to place. And so, it would be more comprehensive if everybody had one place to go, but that's currently not the case. And so it's really hard to say what the numbers would have been had they sort of given this relief package on day 1 versus 2 months in. That too, after the court has directed them to do so.
Anyway, I just think it's a really important point that you've made and got it cleared in the Supreme Court. So tell me now that I feel now with workers having got some compensation, there's less of a push factor for them to leave the state, as I mentioned. It's a great achievement. Now, what's your next step?
Well, today we went to court for the pensioners. Who were registered with the board, but because the board has been very slow in processing pension requests, it's been many years since their pension requests have been pending. And so the High Court also passed a ruling on that.
Sorry. What exactly was the High Court ruling on pensioners?
So the High Court ruling on the pensioners was that the pensioners before them, there were a couple of hundred of them, 100 and something. They will, their applications for pension will be processed within 4 weeks from today.
So that's for all pensioners.
It does not. It's only the people before the court.
Actually,
at the moment.
But I guess it's a ruling, so others can quote it and use it, right?
It can be used by other pensioners as well.
Wow, that's wonderful, wonderful. Excellent that you're working on all this, Shail. You youngsters make us proud.
Well, I think it's baby steps. This epidemic has exposed huge fault lines for us as a country. And I think that there are systems or structures put in place that were really not working. And we need to get those welfare systems working.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you. Let's go quickly across to Professor Roth. As I mentioned earlier, is a Nobel Prize winner and he's Professor of Economics at Stanford and Professor Emeritus at Harvard. So thank you for joining us. You're the best person to ask. Very quickly, how seriously do you feel the world economy is going to be damaged by this pandemic? Do you see a recovery, a full recovery in say 6 months, 12 months, 2 years? Unfair question, but no better person to give us a perspective than you.
Well, if you tell me the progress of the disease, I'll take a guess about how long it will take the economy to recover, because of course the disease itself causes harm, deaths and illnesses, as well as the lockdown. I think we'll see a recovery. I think it will be somewhat long and somewhat uneven. And some parts of the economy will have benefited from the lockdowns. I'm talking to you now on Zoom. And indeed, I've been doing all my work remotely from home. And I think remote work is going to grow. So airline travel may not be as desirable as it once was. Last year at this time, I traveled to Ahmedabad in Gujarat. Maybe the next time that opportunity occurs, I will stay at home and talk to the conference I went to on Zoom. So I think the recovery will be long, but also the economy at the other end of the recovery will have some permanent changes.
Yeah, it's going to be a different world, and you're right, many of the things we were doing were unnecessary, and we are realizing that now, and this is a wake-up call. But what about the economy of developing countries like India? Is this a major worry for us, or do you feel that the global economy and everybody will bounce back and we shouldn't be too worried, or should we be worried?
I think in the long term, one shouldn't be too worried about it, right? So if what you want to know is, will companies thrive? Will there still be international trade? Will there still be international travel? It will surely come back. What I'm worried about is people who have lost their jobs now, when they will get them back. And the long term is too long for someone who is unemployed to be much comforted by. So I think in India, in the United States, we have to work hard to take care of people who've lost their jobs, who worked in restaurants that are now closed, or who worked in stores that are now closed, things like that.
Right. You talked about permanent changes that we're going to see after this globally. Are you saying the world is going to be a very different looking place a year or two from now?
I don't know if it will be very different, but I think there will be some persistent differences. Those of us who have survived the corona pandemic will note the differences, and your grandchildren will think that those things always were the way they are. But we old people will remember that they weren't always that way. And I think some of it will have to do with the internet economy, the digital economy. Here in California in lockdown, it's become much easier to order food over the internet and have it delivered. It's become much easier to teach classes over the internet. I've been doing that. And I think some of those things will persist.
Right. And now, sir, may I ask you a personal question? You were actually infected with COVID-19 and then you recovered. and you've even donated your plasma. I've seen it, photographs of that, for others, and you've written a lot about plasma as a treatment. How confident are you that plasma is likely to be successful in the treatment of coronavirus?
Well, it's still early days. There are clinical trials going on, so we don't know. But antibodies derived from plasma have been successful in treating other diseases. So I think there's a reasonable chance that they'll be successful for COVID-19. But of course, we don't just want to treat the disease; we'd like to prevent it. So convalescent plasma may help people recover, people who are seriously ill. But a vaccine will be needed to stop people from getting the disease.
Quickly. Right. So thank you very, very much indeed. Thank you very much. Please stay safe, even though you've had it, and there's 97% chance you're immune. It's still, nobody's 100% sure about anything about the coronavirus. You know better than I, but wonderful of you to donate your plasma, and just stay safe. Thank you very much. Now joining us now is Devi Sridhar. Devi Sridhar is here to answer 20 questions on everyday important issues that we face and what should we do with it. Thank you so much for joining us. First question that's come in from viewers. When I come in from outside, say a public place like a market or an office, or I've been in public transport, are my clothes and my shoes a source of infection, and what should I do with them?
Yeah, so the virus does seem to last on clothes and on shoes. So the best advice is to leave your shoes outside, because the virus dies within minutes in UV or in heat. And if you're inside, to quickly change your clothes and wash them. Right.
Should I not touch door handles in public places? Should I use a piece of disposable paper to touch handles, or use part of my clothing like a sleeve or part of a sari? Will that protect me?
Yes, definitely. Because one way this virus spreads is that someone who might have the virus touches a doorknob. And then if you're quite fast, the next person there to touch it, you could get the virus on your hands. And given how much we use our hands to touch our faces and our eyes, you could get the virus. So the best thing to do is to use gloves, or to carry disinfectant, or to use a piece of clothing to open the door.
Okay, next question. What should I do with shopping bags as I bring them home? Do I use soap and water to wash the bags, or use disinfectant? And do I wash the packets inside? Of course, wash all the vegetables and fruit. What do I do basically when I bring back shopping is what people want to know.
Yeah, so I think, a bucket with soapy water, and then quickly just to wipe through anything that you want to take into your kitchen is a good measure. Also, if things are in packets, you can take them out of their packets and throw the packets away and transfer them to containers in the house. And so that saves you having to wash the packets as well. Definitely.
Okay. Now another question. If I've been in a shop and across the counter talk to somebody who's been serving, and later I find that that person across the counter had been infected, what should I do?
Well, I think the first thing is to make sure that you, as much as you can, isolate yourself from any family members, especially elderly family members, to see if you develop symptoms over the next few days, and to wait and see it's not that just because you're around someone you get the virus. It's dependent on how long you're around them and if droplets could have been spread from them to you. So it's not a guarantee that you'll get it, but it's better to be cautious.
Okay, so how long should you isolate yourself?
The current advice is 7 to 14 days. Because there are people who are asymptomatic, meaning they can hold the virus, not display major symptoms, maybe just have a slight sore throat and pass it on to others. And so the WHO advice is now 14 days.
14 days. When we go out, we leave our mobile phones on tables and other surfaces in public places. Do the phones get infected? Do we need to wash or sanitize our phones?
Yes. So actually, this virus seems to survive quite a long time on mobile phone surfaces. So the best thing to do is when you get back home to just quickly give it a wipe. This virus dies with soap and water, and so just a quick and scrub of your phone once or twice a day should be sufficient.
Right. So just a damp cloth with soap and obviously dip your phone in water. So we know that the coronavirus can affect you through your nose and through your mouth and eyes. So wearing a mask protects your mouth and nose, but people want to know, what do we do about eyes?
This is why masks are more protective of other people than of yourself. So if everyone wears a mask, because the way the virus spreads is through coughing, sneezing, talking, then it offers a protective value to others. So a mask won't protect you fully if you're wearing it yourself. If others are wearing it, then we've seen a drop in transmission.
Right. So is there anything you can do to protect your eyes?
Well, I guess wearing glasses, wearing sunglasses, this kind of thing. I guess on busy transport, trying to do those things, but also everyone else wearing a mask is probably the best mechanism.
Now, there's also a lot of confusion and talk about air conditioning. Is it okay to use air conditioning or be in a room which has air conditioning, say even in a public place?
Well, I think we don't have a good answer to this question because we don't yet know if this virus just spreads on short length droplets or can go further with aerosols. What we have learned from the cruise ship experience, the Diamond Princess, is it does seem to spread through ventilation systems. And so it's worth bearing that in mind.
Well, that is a worry. It's not conclusive, but it is a worry. Okay, there's this question of, do I have immunity if I had coronavirus and I've recovered? Am I still infectious? Can I give it to others, or can I get it again?
Well, the first few studies are coming out, and these are taking place in monkeys. And what they've shown is 35 days after clearing of the virus, these monkeys were exposed to the virus again and did not get reinfected and seemed to have some immunity protection. So it's becoming clear that there's likely short-term immunity protection. Now the question is, how long is that going to last? Is it 6 months, a year, 2 years? That's the question now.
Okay. So the other point, if I had coronavirus and recovered, can I infect others still after that?
No. Once you've tested negative twice, you cannot pass it to others.
Okay. Moving on. We all understand that we can't play any contact sports like football or kabaddi and so on. But can people go swimming or play tennis or badminton since there's some distance between people there, or cricket even? Or go walking or jogging in the park? Are those okay?
Yeah, so the general rule for all of those is outdoor transmission seems to be very limited. And so if you're jogging outside and keeping space, if you're playing tennis or cricket and you're keeping space and wearing gloves, if you're handling similar balls, it seems very safe. Swimming outdoors as well is safe. I think the problem is inside. Swimming involves bathrooms, showers, changing areas, facilities, and that's where the virus can transmit more easily.
Okay, again, now can anyone go to the hairdresser or a barber shop?
Well, I think you just need to be very careful because hairdressers and barbers see a lot of people. And so the important things to do are to make sure they're wearing a mask, that you have a mask, that your hands you wash your hands afterwards, and then as much as possible, you keep your distance from others in the shop.
That's pretty tough. So it is risky, is it?
It has some risk associated with it. It also depends where you're living and the level of transmission in your particular state or district.
Okay, now what about going to the dentist? Is that okay? Because there's a lot of close proximity there. Or to see your family doctor, say you're not feeling good about, you've sprained something. Can you go to your doctor or dentist?
It's better to go and get care. One of the lessons in the UK so far is that if you tell everyone to stay away from the hospital, that you might miss crucial illnesses where people do need medical care. So the advice is generally to keep going to doctors and dentists, but to make sure that, again, you take the same precautions as other places. And these practices will have higher hygiene standards also.
Now, as you know, in India, we are beginning to ease restrictions on lockdown. So people want to know, can I go and visit friends at their home?
I think the key thing is if you do decide to visit friends, to make sure you're not having any symptoms and they're not having any symptoms. So no cough, fever, anyone in their house or in their flat has that either. And also to try to maybe see them outside. That just adds a layer of protection given what we know about this virus.
Meet them outside, right. And if you do visit them inside their homes, you must wear a mask and keep social distancing 6 feet throughout?
Yes, I think what we're saying is for anything where you're quite close, a mask is has good protective measure.
So people want to know, what if they're feeling just a little feverish and they seem to have a cough, but not feeling very unwell? What should they do?
Well, the first thing to do is to make sure that you isolate yourself so you don't expose anyone else to the virus and monitor your symptoms closely. This virus around day 4 or 5 is when either people recover from it or they get much worse. And at that point, if you do feel like you're getting much worse, it's important then to contact your doctor and try to see if you could get tested, even before that as well, depending on the policy and the exact state.
That's very important, right? Now, what do I do if a person in my neighborhood gets infected with coronavirus? Say if the neighbor is just next door, or maybe if, say, the neighbor is, say, 50 or 100 yards away.
I think the key thing to think about is, have you been around this person in quite a close radius, so 2 meters distance, or have you been farther away? And also, have you shared any similar entrances to the building, mailboxes, this kind of thing? So if you think, what we have seen is that from a study in Italy, that if you're in the same building in a flat, someone else in a different flat gets the virus, that you could have been exposed to it. Where if it's someone outside, quite long way away, it's unlikely.
Right. You may touch something that person may have touched. Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly. This is off doorknobs, mailbox slots, these kind of things.
Now, do currency notes, this is a different issue, currency notes like rupees or coins, do they carry the virus? Can a person get infected by touching currency notes and coins, or even a bill from a shop?
Yes, so the virus can stay active on these. The key thing to do is to always wash your hands afterwards. It all depends on how quickly, when someone who's infected touching these notes, and then how quickly you touch them and then touch your mouth or your nose or your eyes. And so the best thing to do is to be cautious and just wash your hands afterwards, or wear gloves when you're handling money.
Right. Oh, that's very, very important, I suppose. Now, interesting. Now, what is the life of a virus on different surfaces? How long does it stay infectious on a surface?
So these have been tested in experimental conditions. So there's quite a variance. So outside, the US government research has shown that it lasts just a few minutes. So if you go to a bench where someone else was sitting 10 minutes later, it's very unlikely you would catch the same virus from sitting on that, touching that surface. But then we see it on mobile phones, it seems to last a few days. And then you have other things like packages, plastic, wood, and this seem in between. So that's the range we have. And it's from a few days on the surface like a mobile phone to a few minutes when it's outside.
A few days on a mobile phone, wow. How long does it last on clothes, the virus? Infectious on clothes?
On clothes, the estimate is about a day. But again, these are all done experimentally. So we have to be cautious with how much we trust them.
Right now, India starting up, as you know, interstate travel. So should we begin to travel by train or by bus or plane, or is that still risky?
Well, I think the thing to say is that we're still at the start of this pandemic, and that this is going to run for quite a long time. The World Health Organization noted yesterday the largest daily increase in the number of cases since the start, over 100,000 in the world. And so you need to be attentive to where are you traveling, what are the hygiene cautions in place, are others wearing masks, And is your journey actually essential? I think right now a general rule is that if it's essential travel, it's fine to go ahead as long as you're cautious, where if it's non-essential travel, it might be worth delaying it till there's a better idea, we learn more about this virus.
Yeah, we need to learn more. Everything is uncertain. So The Economist has said there are more deaths by coronavirus now than anything else at the moment globally. So another practical issue, everybody has little issues in their homes, problems, etc. Should they allow people like carpenters, plumbers, electricians to enter and leave their homes, come in and go out?
If it's urgent, then I think just again taking caution. So making sure that people coming in have masks, that shoes are left outside, that hands are washed and surfaces are disinfected from where others might have been. I think taking precautions is the way to go.
So how do you disinfect an area where somebody's been, carpenters come but he's touched many surfaces, so how do you disinfect surfaces?
Well, you can use a soap and water, and let's say you have someone who's been working in your bathroom, you just wash down with quickly soap any surfaces that have been touched, and then if you have a window, you can open the window and air as well. So these are the kind of measures to take.
Right. Is it okay to send clothes out to somebody to be washed or to be ironed by somebody else?
Yes, I think that's fine, as long as when they come back that you leave them to air for a day or so, and make sure that when you're unwrapping them or you're taking off the packet, you put that directly into the bin, into the garbage, and wash your hands.
Right. And when you get them back, you don't use them for a day at all, right?
Yeah, that's just to be safe.
Right. Now, here's another issue that I desperately want to help a friend or a relative who's got COVID-19. How can I help them?
I think the first thing to do is to make sure you call them, reach out to them, because just if they're isolating physically, you can still socially make sure that they're feeling fine and not too lonely. Also make sure you can help with groceries, any medications they need, helping with any responsibilities they have in terms of caring responsibilities to their kids. So in New Zealand, they've called this a bubble, that every community, every neighborhood should have a bubble where we all look out for each other and take care of those who are having COVID and what burden they might be feeling that it's lifted by the others in the community.
That's important. The bubble is very important. Coming to the very last bit, is it possible that children can infect adults? Children generally are less susceptible to this virus, but can they be carriers and give it to adults?
So we do know that children carry the virus. There was a German study that looked at the viral load and found children carry the same viral load as adults. What we're less clear on is how they can transmit to adults. There's much less research on that. So we don't yet know the degree of transmission from children to adults.
So given the research, is it better to be safe now?
Yes, I think so. I think we should assume that reasonably kids can transmit this virus to adults, and just to be cautious. And children, thankfully, have very mild symptoms or no symptoms at all.
Okay, sorry, we've taken a lot of, picked your brains a lot. Finally, if a person wants to be tested and they're worried that going to a hospital for testing, there may be queues and crowds, and they may come into contact with others who have got the virus and, may or may not get it, how can a person be tested safely?
Well, again, I think there's different innovations being tried. So in the UK, they're doing phone. You can have your booking by phone or by the website, and they give you a time slot, and you try to go to that time slot, and they are trying to distance people. So I think it really depends on the exact system that's being used in each state for testing. But yes, the most important thing is to make sure that people do not go to testing stations and pick up the virus while they're there. So thinking of actually booking people in for different appointments and spacing them, and so the swabbing can be done in a way that keeps people separate. And South Korea has shown the way that this can be done through phone booths, drive-throughs, walk-through stations. different innovations to try to keep testing as safe as possible.
Right. These are really, really important lessons. Listening to all that you've said, wonderful practical solutions based on all your research and knowledge. And yes, there are a lot of uncertainties, and your bottom line is do be cautious. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Roy.
It's a pleasure. Well, that's it for this town hall. It's a different kind of town hall, and I learnt a lot. And while there are worries about a spike, there are a lot of positives of how earlier on many states have actually cracked the virus, beaten it, and got the R. That's something we need to focus on, the R level down to 1 and below 1. That has happened, and it can happen again, even if we have another spike, but we have to be smart. And in everyday functions, as you heard Dr. Devi Sridhar, that Indian jugaad could be a great solution. Thank you very much indeed. But be safe, be careful. This is for a while till we know more about this virus. There's a lot of uncertainties. So take care. Thank you for being with us.